Welcome to Mornings with Patricia. Happy Thursday. Oh, today I'd like to talk about prioritizing your life. And what does that mean? Let's see if I can get the glare off. Get you up on my. Oh, how is that? Is that scary? Okay, I'll stop. Um, that was really uncomfortable, wasn't it? I don't know why the glare is so bad today. There we go. I'll just put my head down a little bit and we'll pretend like I'm looking at you. I'm in kind of a mood today. I don't know what it is. Um, it's the way the sun is right now. Uh, Let me just see. Hey, look at that. Maybe I can just move this around a little bit. And there we go. Okay. Um, I want to talk about prioritizing your life. And what does that mean and what does that look like? Well, sometimes we think everything has to be done right now, and and we think that everything's important, and people in our lives act like everything has to be done right now. And it doesn't, right? One of the things to do is to categorize, what's urgent and what's important. So, what something is when something is urgent that needs to be done right away. And then there are levels of importance, it's some things are more important to get done earlier than others. So, working with prioritizing those things. But mostly, I think this is just really interesting. Let me see if I took my glasses off. There we go. Yeah. All right, we'll try that. Um, working with so many people in my life, and working with what they think are priorities. I remember years ago when I was counseling. Well, I still counsel, spiritual counsel, but when I was counseling more, I would get calls up until, gosh, really late at night, and I thought I had to take every one of those. And I remember getting a call once, and it was like at maybe 12 at night, and you know, they were worked up over something, and that's okay. Those things are okay, but I said that if it's not life and death, can you wait a few more hours to give me a call? Just really interesting. Um, so at some point, I started to learn to prioritize. I started to think about what's important to me. And what's important, I mean, because I would go, and then I'd get really sick. And then I'd be down for a few days because my body's just like, hey, you need some rest. And so, so that was a vicious cycle. So I think, learning to prioritize is absolutely important to our overall well-being. And there's this word. You are going to be so surprised. I mean, really surprised when I say this word. Uh, there is a magical word. It has eons of magic to it. And I'm going to share that with you today. Um, and I want you to use it. It has this amazing effect. And I want you to, but because it's a magical word, not everybody can hold its power. Some people are afraid of the word, and I understand that, but the more you work with its magic, the the more comfortable you will be with its power. So are you ready? Okay, nice deep breath. Here is the magical word. No. That's it. That's the magical word. No. 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 And no. That's, but it is a powerful word, right? Because it's a word that a lot of times people are afraid to use. And it's a word that people are not comfortable with either using or hearing. They're always surprised to hear it. And I think people are pretty surprised to use it. So, yeah, it's a foreign word in the English language. Personal use. Personal use. It becomes a very foreign word to us. How can I say no? What will happen if I say no? I've never said no. Um, Will I lose a friend? Will my family get upset with me? What's going to happen? I'll give you an instance when I said no. It's many, many years ago. Let me try to think. Probably 21 years ago, something like that. Maybe 22 years ago, because Bruce Jr. was maybe only about 2 and he's 24 now. So 22 years ago, I was, let's see, I'd just gotten out of school prior to that, and I had this part-time job demonstrating, pet food. And at that time, I think it was Waltham Pet Food. And you'd set up your little shops and give away bags and stuff. I was really very good at it, and it paid really well back then, like 16 an hour. It was great. And so there was a big job coming up, open in Seattle. Now at that time we were living in Eureka, California. You know, in between Arcata and Eureka, a very small area. And I'm a kind of a small town girl, and this job was where you would drive all over different districts, and kind of become a regional manager. And oh my goodness, back then that would have been the early 90s. It was something like 40 grand a year. It was really good money back then. So Bruce and I went up for the interview. And we went up to Seattle, and neither one of us had been to Seattle before. And it was over by SeaTac, I think. And I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared for all of the traffic. And Bruce, he'd been from San Diego County, and he wasn't prepared either. Seattle's a beautiful, beautiful city. But back then we were really young, and we thought about going into a place that we'd never been to before. We had no friends or family. We had this young child, and so anyway, but I was pretty open, and went in for the interview, and by the time I got home, I was offered the job, and I said, I have to think about it, and I turned around and I said, no, thank you, but no. And the lady who had hired me for the demoing said, oh, the big boss is really mad. You don't say no. And I looked at her, I said, well, of course I would say no. This is my life, right? And that's the reason for me telling you this story. This is your life. It's not your friend's life. It's not your family's life. It's your life. So when you say no, you are prioritizing for yourself. You're prioritizing and gifting yourself. And once you learn to say no, it's not like you become addicted to it. It's not like, don't worry, you're not going to get an addiction. But it does give you a freedom. There's this huge freedom when you say, no, I don't want to do that. No, and we've always taught the boys, you can just say no. I remember years ago we were at a retreat, and somebody had asked Michael, he was very young at the time, I think it was Michael, would you like to go up and get something from the cabin for me? And he said, no. And the person looked at me and said, what's going on? And I said, well, he, first of all, you asked him would he like to, and no, he would not like to. If you ask him nicely, he may do it. But in my family, our family, children are not the servants of the parents or anyone else, and they have their own individual rights. And so in something like this, he has every right to say no. You have that right to say no anytime you want. You may feel like you can't. You may feel like you're going to put someone out. You may feel a lot of things. But you can say no. And it's important that you say no. It really is. It's important that you understand it's your right to say no. And it's healthy. No, I would not like to watch my grandkids full time. No, I would not like to do this or that. I would like to have my grandkids come over, blah, blah, blah. I don't have grandkids, but I see this a lot with people giving up their lives. And if you want to do that, and if you need to help out for a little while, that's one thing. But, I don't know why we feel we can't prioritize for ourselves. I don't know why we feel like, um, what our needs are our second, third, fourth considerations. So I just think that's very, very interesting. Um, and when I say no to one thing, then I'm saying yes to myself. I'm saying yes to the things that I need. I'm saying yes to my good. And that means that I'm happier, I'm healthier, I'm more content, right? I used to think I had to show up at everything, and Sacred Space is going to be having Sunday programs, but I had made the agreement with my family that I would have the weekends with them, and that would be our time. So, am I going to show up? No, because I'm at Sacred Space all week, teaching or giving gatherings. So, that's my time to do it. It's it's those things. What will people think? If I say no. Well, what will people say if I say no? Well, I don't care what people think, and I don't care what people say. That's not my concern. People think and say a lot of things, and that has no bearing on my life. It has nothing to do with me. Um, so, and it's not that I don't care. I mean, I care about people. You know that. And it's not that I'm cavalier, but I don't put a whole lot of stock into, what people think and what they say in terms of opinions. I prioritize what I need. And I try to do that in thought, with a lot of thought for myself, for those around me, right? And so even though that my schedule, I am pretty involved and it can seem pretty busy at times, I've found that by prioritizing and learning to say no, that things have gotten a lot better. It's things a lot better. So, I don't know what your day is going to be like today. I bet it's going to be wonderful, but just learn to prioritize. And otherwise everything's coming at you at once, and you're going to be overwhelmed. So just learn to prioritize, learn to say no, learn to say yes to yourself. And okay, here we go. Oops, I'm going to lose you here. 1, 2, 3. Oh my God! I love myself. I love you. Thank you for being with me today, and thank you for allowing me to have fun with the camera. And have a wonderful Thursday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.